Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today I want to talk about Vivek Ramaswamy and is he cutting through? Is he getting discussion around him? Is there a coalescing of the media platforms around his message? Is he being heard? Is he being seen? And here's the exciting news. The answer is yes. It is pretty astounding. So I'm gonna walk through it and kind of talk through the coverage that I'm seeing. Excuse me. And I would really invite you to get in the comments below or do a video response and let me know what you're seeing. So this is what I'm seeing. So first of all, I used to have a subscription to the New York Times. I no longer do. However, it is incredibly helpful. I get a notification that goes through the top 5 to 10 stories, and I get the headlines from the New York Times. So what I can do is basically they're telling me what's happening in a single sentence, and then I can go find a story on it through YouTube, through USA Today, or through many free sites, right? That will cover the same topic, right? So it's really helpful, and they are covering him three or four. They're doing 3 or 4 articles. The New York Times is doing 3 or 4 articles a week on Vivek Ramaswamy. So that is fantastic, right? Now, the reality is they're not giving him his due, and I don't think they're covering him fairly, but they are covering him, and that is critical. That is critical. First, in America, the worst crime that could be done against you is that you are ignored, right? And truly in America, fame and infamy, there's very little difference. It's you are done in America if nobody's talking about you, and that is not the case with Vivek Ramaswamy. He is being talked about. So New York Times, very important. New York Times is extremely important. They really are the pulse of America. And I think the reason why the New York Times is important is they are still a viable news source that spends money to get genuine, original news. They don't just everybody on the planet trumpets the New York Times. The New York Times is generating the news. So that I think that's very interesting, right? So Breaking Points. Breaking Points is the best news source available anywhere. I think Sagar Enjeti and Crystal Ball are very genuine, and they come from a genuine perspective. They're not trying to slant the news. They're not bought, right? They're not bought and paid for. I think they're very genuine, and I really think they're the future of news. They are talking about Vivek Ramaswamy 3-4 times a week. That's excellent, right? YouTube. Oh, that's a great point. Are there people like me who are talking every day about Vivek Ramaswamy? Very few. He's not landing, and I will say this right now. Vivek Ramaswamy is trying to do exactly what Andrew Yang did, right? So whether he knows it or not, he is following the same map. He is following the same path. He is on the same horse as Andrew Yang was, right? And he needs to improve on that. And Andrew Yang did a better job of getting traction on YouTube. So Vivek is not getting the coverage he should on YouTube from just people like you and me, right? I don't get paid a dime to cover. I do a piece every single day on Vivek Ramaswamy, and that is a promise to myself, right? My intention is to continue to cover Vivek Ramaswamy for every day he is relevant, right? And I'm trying to make him relevant and keep him relevant, right? And but right now, I do think he's falling down a little bit on his YouTube coverage. People are not picking. I've seen a few people covering him here, but not at the level that Andrew Yang was, right? So Andrew Yang was, and I think there's a few different reasons for that. One, the left controls YouTube much more than the right does, right? So there's not a lot of conservative voices on YouTube, and so that is an issue, right? Twitter, I do not see very much at all on Twitter about Vivek Ramaswamy, and I do not think he has captured the Twitterati, and he has a long way to go there, right? And then as far as CNN and MSNBC and Fox News, I don't touch those. So I'm not sure how they are covering him there. But if you do know, it would be really helpful to let me know what you've heard on Fox, MSNBC, CNN. The really dyed in the wool mainstream sources. So that's what I'm seeing. I'm very happy that he is getting major news sources to talk about him, major and minor news sources to talk about him on a regular basis. I think he's got some catch up to do on YouTube and on all the social medias, right? Like on and by the way, I don't touch Rumble or any of that new conservative, I don't do that. It's and the reason why is I don't go to ghost towns, right? Well, actually, I did literally go to a ghost town once. That's a story for another day. Actually, you'll find that story right here. There's a coal town in Pennsylvania that all the coal underneath of it caught on fire, and I actually went and visited that town. It was pretty fun. So, but generally, I don't have any interest in Mastodon or Rumble or any of those, and the reason why is I have sunk costs on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. Those are my social medias. That's what I enjoy, and they have served me well in the past, and I trust them, and I want them to grow. And Rumble and Mastodon can go kick rocks. I'm not for it, right? I'm not for these new. We don't need any more new social medias, right? And so I think Vivek does need to focus and get good coverage on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. And those are the ones that matter. And the reason why I say those are the ones that matter is those are the ones that I'm on. And the reason why is I invest my time in social medias that I think are genuine and useful, right? So that's where I'm seeing him covered. I think he is doing an excellent job moving forward. I do think he's running as fast as he can. And what he needs to do is he needs to figure out how to catapult forward. He's got to find something that is going to catapult him hundreds of yards forward much, much faster and land successfully and unbroken, right? And to be clear, I think that's what President Donald Trump did. He figured out at multiple points in his campaign how to catapult himself forward. And I think most candidates think they're going to get it done by running as fast as they can, and that's just not the case. You run as fast as you can, you get catapulted, you land successfully from that catapult, and you keep running until you reach the next catapult. And that means outlandish unpredictability in different ways. Every single word of that is my humble opinion. What's important is when I get to hear your humble opinion when you get in the comments and send your traffic. Please consider subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.